Hello, Teresa here again. I hope you're all well and thank you for joining me. I hope you stay to the end. This afternoon we're going to be looking at slow stitch with crazy patchwork. This is an example of the crazy patchwork which those of you who saw the introductory video will probably recognise. There's not a great deal to it. Crazy patchwork, pieces of odd shaped patchwork or fabrics sewn down to background cloth, and then this one has had feather stitch all the way around the edge. Can put running stitch around the edge or any stitch really which connects the two pieces of fabric. You can even machine sew, but because we're slow stitching we do it by hand. Now there's not a great deal to this one that I showed you at the beginning of the course. So what I've done, I'm going to close this up. This is Big Beast. Close Big Beast up and bring in Smaller Beast. This is Smaller Beast. So this is another journal. Once again, I'll just briefly show you this. It's based on the Big Beast. Just one signature. Now I stopped doing the one signatures because they were just too big. Look at that. Even when they're secured with their bracelets or their sashes, their ties, they're still big. Oops, I'm not on camera. They're still big. But this is a slow stitch one again. Little detail there. It's all slow stitch, but this is just in passing. I'm showing you the cover because oh, is that the end? No, that's the beginning. Right, because in here I have a piece of, I did put a ruler. Oh, there it is. Right, did put a ruler there. This is crazy patchwork as well. Right, if I can, I might have to turn it up the other way so you can see it. This is crazy patchwork as well, based on the other one. Odd shaped pieces of fabric all secured to a calico background, and then a small running stitch around them to secure them to the background, and then feather stitch. I always have to think, I love that stitch, but I always have to think about the name. I'm inclined to call it something else, but I won't say what because that word will stick in your head. So each of these crazy pieces here have been decorated with slow stitch, the running stitch here, applique, satin stitch, pinwheel here, that's a blanket stitch, applique, a little bit of lace appliqued with some sequins, a few little beads here and here, more little pinwheels here, some lace as well, and running stitch. I've left that plain, more lace. So as you can see, it just consists of pinwheel, cross stitch, feather stitch, running stitch, applique. So what are we looking at? Possibly 3 or 4 stitches with applique. So this is the one we're going to concentrate on this afternoon. So I'm going to fold this up and we'll make a start. See how big this is? Great Big Beast. I just love them big and chunky. But as I say, I have started using 2 signatures. Oh, it's horrendous, isn't it? And they're quite weighty as well, and that one isn't as big as the other one. So that's that one there. Now what have I done with all my pieces? Right, so excuse me while I gather up my pieces. Calico background, as always, the same size, 8 by 5. And I'm going to show you how to do what, 3 or 4 pieces there. And then once again I'll go off and I'll finish it off and get back to you, because I really can't see the point of just sewing in front of you. I've seen some videos and and they're all very good, but my concentration span is very short. I have a noticeably short concentration span. That's why craft work, sewing, has always appealed to me, and why I taught it. And I understand the students who also had a short concentration span. I knew where they were coming from, and I knew how to deal with them. So I had the students who had behavioural problems, and I loved every one of them. Not all the time, but 99% of the time. I'm sure you know what I mean. But so yeah, my concentration span is sometimes too short to sit and watch a video where someone is just doing one particular task. I wish I could, because I love all the videos, no matter how long they are. But occasionally I have to go back and have a look to see what's going on, you know, the bits I've missed. Right, so first of all, these are the pieces that I've pulled out, and what we're going to do is just pin them down. Now you can pin them any way you want. You can spend time arranging them, you can do what you want with them, but try not to overthink it. She says, wondering where to put that piece, because part of the fun is just being a bit spontaneous, really. So that one there, and of course if later on you're not that keen and you think, no, that colour would look best there, or that colour would look best there, just go over it or take it out. It's your work. So you oh, hells bells, look at that. You do what you want. That one there. And I just love doing this. And we'll have that one there, that one there. See, I'm doing it again. I'm overthinking. I don't need to overthink. That one there. I think I'm going to put that one there. And I'm going to keep that zigzaggy. No, I'm not. I'm going to trim that off, because it just might make it a little bit difficult to do the feather stitch. Right, so I'm going to leave that like that, and this is all you do. You can do it edge to edge, but it's always better, especially with fabric that frays, to cover up the edges like that. Just overlap them slightly, and you do end up with a nice edge. Right, so just secure that with a couple of pins. Make sure that screen is big as it gets. Oh, lovely. That's better, isn't it? Right, that's a big piece, so that's going to have 2 pins. And then all we're going to do is tack all the way round the pieces. No, sorry, we're not going to tack. You can tack if you feel happier tacking, then you use the great big stitch, like a very big running stitch, and you use 1 strand. But we're not going to do that this afternoon. We are just going to go for the kill and the running stitch. 2 strands, small running stitch all the way around the edge. Now you could do these individually, one at a time. That's very time consuming. Or you can do it this way. Lay them all down first and then tack around them. Oh, I've said tack again. I am sorry. I don't mean tack at all. Oh, that's because I've been doing something earlier on which involved a lot of tacking. I had to tack because I was using so many pieces, and sometimes pins just get in the way and confuse the issue. So I have got tacking on the brain, and that is probably why those 2 running stitches there are very big. But we all know what running stitch is, so running stitches round the edge just like this. It's quite a nice thing to do on a windy afternoon. I mean, we're in the middle of June now, and I had to go out today to the dentist, boo-hoo. And as I left, it started to rain again. I don't know how many days in a row now it's been raining. Really, really heavy. So I took a coat, got to where I was going, and it was hot. Is it any wonder we get flu and that? Then I did the charity shops, and I bought a load of books. Oh my goodness. I'm moving soon and I should be decluttering, but they're all precious. One move, it's a long story. I had to move, divorce. If I just say messy divorce, you'll know what I mean. I got rid of 200 books in one go. I was heartbroken, but I didn't have anywhere to take them, didn't have anywhere to put them. Now this one, look, if you can see that isn't matching. That's not touching at all. So this will have to be done either side, and then the feather stitch will be worked across the opening. So no need to worry. Just over here now. So yes, I bought some very nice books. One on birds, a very old needlework book that I can use in a project that I'm doing. Right, I'm going to take this now right the way around here. Oh, and I also bought 2 doilies. Couldn't believe it, 2 doilies for £1. I thought people don't realise how precious these are, so they will be used in a project. But I buy these doilies, and as you know, I collect vintage tablecloths, and that's it. I don't want to use them, but I should start using them. I did chop one up recently to go in some journals and in some artwork, and it was so difficult. It's the first time I've ever done that, and it was so difficult. Right, now as you can see, if I take that up, you see the tacking all the way around the edge. But I think with regards to the weather here in the UK, it's a bit crazy. It really has gone crazy. We've always been a wet and rainy country, as you probably know, but this year it's just been crazy, and people everywhere seem to be not necessarily complaining about the weather, but a little bit worried. And I know when I look at the videos on YouTube, the weather conditions where some of you people are is awful as well, and I can just gauge by the the tone of how it's being said that this really is a problem, the change in weather. We just sort of trust our politicians to know what they're doing, but it does make you wonder, doesn't it? Still on that happy note, I don't know what the answer is. There must be an answer. Let's hope it's not too late. Right now, so up here around there, yeah, so things went okay at the dentist. Got to have a tooth out. Lost the top of the tooth over time. Didn't quite realise it, but it's left the root, so I've got to have the root out. But my dentist can't do that. She's got to send me somewhere, which will be great fun. So we've almost done that now. I've pulled that just a little bit too tight there. That's because I'm talking and not concentrating again. And then round here, you see how quickly it is to do this. And already, I mean, I like this effect. I think as soon as you put a needle and thread onto fabric, especially plain fabric, there's an automatic quite a drastic change. You go from what, 4 pieces of scrap material, you pop it on a background, and suddenly you find that you're making another completely different fabric, and I just find that so exciting. Right, see, that's the tacking. Oh no, it's not tacking, is it? Wake up, wake up. The running stitch. I shall have to get some sort of cattle prod, and each time I use the wrong stitch, I shall have to be prodded with it, and that's a horrible thing to think about. So there we are, that's the tacking. Let's do it. There you go. Tacking. No, 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 no. Oh, that's in my mind now. Running stitch. Now the next stitch will be the feather stitch, and this is the stitch that is going to hold them together. The decorative stitch. So I want this piece to be basically brown. I want this to be a dark piece because most of the work that I've done so far is quite bright blue, bright pink. I can't remember the last one we did, but I just fancy having just a little bit of a dark page in the journal. Otherwise it's going to look very, very loud. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just thought it would break all the brightness up. Someone said that to me actually this morning. 2 people that I don't know commented on a pink top that I was wearing, and it is a very bright pink. It goes down to the bottom because I like to feel it covers the bottom up, and it's really bright, does up at the front, 3/4 length sleeves, just an ordinary like cotton fabric, nothing fancy at all. 2 people mentioned it. Oh, your top is so lovely and bright. And I said, you know why I think it is? It's because the weather is so dull. It's so dull out there that anything bright, it just looks extra bright, if that makes sense. But on a summer's day, a sunny day, it wouldn't be noticed. The pink top just wouldn't be noticed. Right, so if you can see that, you'll probably see it more on this. Now this is feather stitch, and I haven't told you how to do this because it's one stitch that we have been using. So I'm assuming now that you know how to do it. But for the sake of anyone who has just joined us, this is feather stitch, and we covered this some time ago. We did this example amongst many, and it's basically like 2 U's, 1 U at the top and then a U here at the side, and it's going that way, and then that way and that way, and it is so easy to do. So I'll turn this corner. Is it a corner? Right, let's just turn this, and a little example. Oh, I've made that into a chain, but that doesn't matter. Right, feather stitch. So you've come up through the background of the fabric. Now with the thumb you're going to hold the thread down, take the needle opposite where you came out, so a little way across, in, and then just down slightly in the middle of the 2, like that, and gently pull it there, and that's your first feather stitch. And you can go left or right, once again across from where you've just come out, across, repeat it, take the needle down between the 2, slightly lower, and pull it. Oops. and then the next side over, down again, and pull it. It is so easy and it looks really nice. Now I think I should have taken that stitch up that way because I've got two under, one underneath the other there, but so that is feather stitch. Now that is worked all the way around your pieces. You see that? All the way around. There. Now there would be another piece of fabric this side, so if you just imagine that piece of fabric there, so half of that stitch would be on the other half of the fabric, like there. So that one stitch will go over two pieces of fabric right along the edge. Down we go with that. Now I'm sure you've got the hang of that. That is feather stitch. Now leave the running stitch, don't take the running stitch out, because the running stitch adds to the texture and to the interest, and it just looks nice. I just think it looks nice. Now that should be finished on underneath, but it's come out of the needle, so I'll finish that there. But when you do it, take that to the back, bring it out at the back. I'm just going to snip that off, I'll deal with that later. Now the stitches that we use were, let me just check what they were. It was, gosh, I can't even remember. Right, there we are. So we have applique there, pinwheel, we have running stitch, just rows of running stitch there, applique there, pinwheel. Right, so let's do, I know what we do. We will do here. Right, this is going to be applique. We'll put this one, I think that one might look nice there. We'll put this one there, and we're just going to pin that down. Just pin that down. Now you have to imagine that there's feather stitch along here, down there. Oh gosh, you can't see it, sorry. You have to imagine there's feather stitch along there, down there, and round here. Now I'm just going to applique this down here with a buttonhole stitch, which is going to look very much like a pinwheel. So where's our pinwheel? It must be on the table somewhere. Just there it is. So pinwheel, okay, and that is what we're going to do around here, which is just like a blanket stitch. So you can see that this is just a little bit of printed polyester. It's a flower. Now if I can hold that up there, so around there. Now we're not going into the center because I want to leave the blue showing. I want to leave the blue piece in the center showing. So just in like this all the way around. So we're just going to take that all the way around, side by side, so you have a nice blanket stitch is like pinwheel, but where the pinwheel goes into the center there, this one doesn't. This one is going all the way round the inside too. Look here, and round. So that'll hold it down nicer. Now the closer that you do your stitches, the thicker and the more pink will show. I'm doing mine quite well spaced apart so the red shows through. The red of the fabric here will show through the pink, I hope. But you might want to do it completely solid so you end up with quite a thick ring there of pink. So all you do is you place your stitches side by side. There's an awful lot of movement, isn't there, for such a tiny area of stitching. Oops. Now don't do what I just did and pull it too tightly, because if you pull it too tightly you'll unravel, you'll curl it up, I should say. You'll curl up the piece there. Look, can you see that? I've curled that up. That's all curly there. I've straightened it again. I mean, as we said in an earlier video, there aren't any mistakes. No mistakes at all. If you do something that you don't like, you're not happy with, you can take it out, or you can use it to your advantage and make a feature of it. You can applique over it. You can use it to put a flower like this on top. You can do all sorts of things. You can sew a bead on it. There's no right and wrong, unless of course, as I've said before, you are studying and for examination purposes. Then it might be different. It could very well be different. You have to know, in order to take shortcuts and leave a mistake, you have to know the technique first. You can't take a shortcut if you don't know the technique. Now, did that make sense? If you think of Picasso's Cubist period, where he made faces with a nose on the forehead, and he did all sorts of weird and wonderful things that didn't look like what he was actually painting. But to get to that standard, he had to learn how to draw faces properly. He had to go through the basics. And it's the same with us, because we are artists. Right, that one's done. You see how nice that looks? I'm going to gently move it up to the camera, not to make you giddy. So that's that. Now what you could do with that is go round it with beads. You could fill in the background with running stitch. You can do all sorts of things on the background. But I'm not doing that. Now what I'm going to do in this one is I do a pinwheel. Now I need something to go round, or can I do it freehand? Excuse me, over the screen. Oh, would you believe it, there's no nib in that. Now I'm going to try and do this circle freehand, so please bear with me while I do this. Right, don't want that one. Let's use this colour. Right, so little pinwheel. Let's see. Oh no, that's colour's not going to be seen, is it? So I think I'll use a brown. Right, here we go. Now, for me, it's best if I draw around a circle, but I can't see anything apart from felt pens and a pen to draw with, and I won't do that because of messing up the fabric. So I'm going to do this freehand, so do bear with me. Right, into the middle. Now we have done these, so if you joined at the beginning you'll know how to do these. If you didn't, if you're just popping in now, this is how you do it. Up from the bottom, up from the back, and then in again. Keep the thread, keep the thread underneath the needle there, and pull it. Hold the thread down with your thumb, into the middle, up and out again. Still hold the thread down with your thumb and pull it into the middle, up and out, all the time holding the thread down with your thumb. I can see already that this isn't going to be quite circular, so if you feel happier drawing around something, by all means do that, because I'm not quite good with just doing this freehand without a guide. Right, into the middle, it's taking on a little bit of a square look, not at all like the orange pinwheels there. Oh, I don't know. I've got the heating on and I'm so hot now. Can't win with this weather. One minute it's cold, next minute it's hot. There we go. And for those of you who are doing slow stitch as meditation, don't forget to concentrate on your breathing and the moment you're in. There, now I've pulled it a bit tightly there. Right, to finish off, take it through the back. That's through the very first stitch. There you go. And that's the pinwheel. Now what I'll do later on is I'll put a bead in the center, I think. So there you go there, and over to this one. Now this one had a little bit of applique on it, I believe. Let me have a look. I can't find it now. Now I like to add lace as applique, sorry, netting for applique. The netting provides an extra dimension. It creates another fabric. So on a lot of my work I use lace, and I particularly like black lace and black netting, not thick black lace, because that does obscure other patterns. I'm not sure I want it over the white. I might have it over there. You can have it overlapping. Right, so pin that down, and now we're back to running stitch. Now it's up to you how you do your running stitch. You might want to do your running stitch around the shape, just follow it round and round and round and round. Or you might want to do it in lines down, lines across, or lines down and lines across for a nice little box effect, but I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to start at the point here, and I'm just going to run it, this one down through the center to the end. Nice running stitch, all the way down, and then I'm going to fill it in either side, but taking the line up to the point where I've just started from. So that's the first one, in, along just slightly, not much, just a little bit, and then back to the point, and that will give a nice fan effect. So this up to the point where I came out. Nice sharp needle, nice long sharp needle, can do lots of running stitches at the same time. So there are 2 lines there, in where we started, then out again, and just take it just a little bit over there, and you'll start to get almost a fan shape, and do that until you feel that shape in. And then you can alternate the colours. You can have pink, then between the lines you can have another colour, or you can cross over. There's no end to what you can do, but I have to warn you again, it is addictive. It's once you start, it's hard to put it down. So now this goes back up to the point as well. Like this, and so on. If I can just find that, I'll show you once more the example. Right, let's just once more, and then I'll go. You see this here, this one here has been fanned out. You see that? There's the starting point for all of them, all the lines, and it comes up, you see, right the way it fans out, but always returning to the center point there. And in between there's a different color, orange in between, and then after I did the orange in between, I did a line going across. You see the white running stitch? So in that small shape there, there's the pink fanning out. In between there's the orange fanning out. And then there's the white going across. And then between the rows of white, there is a green going across. So in that little area there are 4 different colours. There's the pink, the orange, the white and the green, and that's the applique piece, like that. That's that piece there. Here the running stitch is going all the way across, alternating blue and orange. And then just picking out the area, that's applique there, and over the applique there's the stitching is going down. So in that small area there are 2 lots of stitches going in different directions, across and down, and it's the same with many of these. This is cross stitch, these are cross stitches here, and whipped running stitch. So that's the running stitch with, after the running stitch has been done, it's then the thread is then taken in and out, in and out, in and out, weaving. So everything else here, look, there's another way of fanning it here. That's the center point, and then the stitches are just fanning out all the way. This looks complicated, this one, but it isn't. It's the running stitch going up and then across, and that is what it can produce, little box like areas. So I'm going to leave it here and I'm going to carry on. So I'll be back later 7 hours later after I've completed that, and we'll see what I've ended up with. So hope you enjoyed that, and do give it a try. Rummage down your bit box or your rag bag, see what you've got, and set about having a good time. But most of all, enjoy it. So until I speak again later, take care. Well, I'm back again, and as you can see, it's finished. I did everything that I said I would do. I've used the feather stitch, chain stitch, applique. I think there might be a couple of crosses somewhere. I'm not too sure now. Alternated the running stitch, green, yellow, green, some purple, another applique, and some lace. And it's taken several hours to do it in one sitting, and I'm absolutely trying to think of a polite word, exhausted, I think. So I hope you like this page. It's unusual, isn't it? It's definitely unusual, but I think it's growing on me. I'm not quite used to the colours. I'm more used to the pinks and the reds, so for me this is quite a big step actually. You can see I have actually appliqued a flower under there, so I did take some stitching out. I did change it slightly, and so there you are, absolutely finished. Pay no attention to the cuckoo clock, it's just chimed once. It is in fact 9 o'clock. As you know, the cuckoo clock is out of sync with itself, so but it's actually telling the time within 5 minutes, so I mustn't complain. So anyway, I'm going to let you go now, and I do hope you try this, and more than that, I hope you enjoyed it. So take care, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye bye.